So to talk about Vembu Technologies, we are a company founded in 2004, about 300 employees, headquartered in Dallas, Texas. We service about 4,400 partners worldwide, who in turn service about 60,000 businesses. And 70% of our partners are from North America, 20% in Europe, and 10% in Asia Pacific. We also sell to value-added resellers, enterprise and mid-market segment customers. As a company, we have an heritage in storage and backup industry. We have a complete solution set that helps our customers to perform various backups that extends from file-based backup, disk image backup, virtualization backups like VMware, Hyper-V, and Xen. We also have solutions for file sharing and synchronization, more like a Dropbox kind of a product, but very secure for businesses. We also have CRM products like Help Desk, Sales Desk, and Social Desk, and also social media monitoring and management tools. Like I mentioned, we are a private company, profitable since 2006, and we are growing. To talk about our backup and disaster recovery product, BDR, there is a unique value proposition for this product. First of all, it's an easy to use, simple product that functions across all of your environments. So that is one of the biggest value propositions, where on an average, a business uses 3.7 backup products in order to address different requirements. So with Vembu BDR, it is one product that functions across both your physical as well as virtual environments, and it protects multiple operating systems that ranges from Windows, Linux, or Mac. So you can either perform a file-based backup or you can do a complete system disk image backup. Apart from protecting the entire system and operating systems and files and drivers, it also protects the applications that runs inside the operating system, like Exchange or SQL or SharePoint. And we also perform granular recovery, like mailbox level recovery or mail level recovery for these applications. And we have native hypervisor support for VMware, Hyper-V, and Xen, where we could perform host-level backups of all of these VMs. The product also features inbuilt replication to our cloud, which is hosted on Amazon. And in the event of a complete site-level disaster where you have lost all of your data, you'd be able to instantly boot up a VM, spin it off, and run it on our cloud, so you can perform instant disaster recovery. We also have centralized monitoring and management, where from a single pane of glass view, you would be able to see all of your backups, the status, and you also have the ability to receive email status of all of your backup reports. In terms of technology itself, the data that is being backed up locally, we perform compression, encryption, and deduplication. So the data is highly compressed, and on an average, you get about 50% savings in terms of your storage data. At the same time, you would also be able to instantly boot or mount the images that is being backed up. So you can actually work with the backup data instead of that backup silo being a dumb data. You'd be able to actually perform some work operation on top of it. We've got a question. So it says the pricing, it is basically $20 a month. That includes all of your backups. Like you can perform for a specific client agent, you can perform unlimited VM backup, or you can do a physical server backup, and that includes Exchange, SQL data, unlimited restores, etc. And we charge you on a monthly basis, so you pay us at the end of the month depending on how much you use for the product. And this also includes free support. It's a subscription-based licensing model, and it also covers all of your major upgrades and updates, so there is no other extra cost added on top of it. So with that being said, I would like to probably get into the details of the product and show you how exactly this functions. So let me make one of my colleagues a presenter, and I'd be able to show the demo on top of his screen here, or you can back up to one of your servers locally. Functions like a client and server architecture. So you basically have to install a client agent on one of the systems that you want to protect. Again, we have client agents for Windows, Linux, and Mac. And you'd be able to back up these environments by installing a simple client agent there. Once you install a client agent, you have multiple options, like you can perform a disk image backup, which is a full system image backup, including the applications that runs inside of it. Or you can also back up VMware and Hyper-V as well. So for VMware and Hyper-V, we do an agentless backup. So what really happens is you install this agent on one of the VMs that is running on the host. From that VM, you'd be able to access all the VMs running on the host, and you'd be able to back that up to the backup server. The same goes for Hyper-V. You install the agent on the host. From the host, it accesses all the VMs running on it, and it performs an application-aware snapshot and backs up the data to the backup server. Now let's say you don't want to back up these full images. You only want to back up the applications that runs on the images. We have this application backup options where you can selectively back up only those applications like Exchange Server or Mailbox or SQL or SharePoint or MySQL. Or you can also perform file level backups, like you only want to back up some files from these specific systems. You can also do a file level backup. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the disk image backup. This helps us to protect the entire system, including the operating systems, etc. So once you say disk image backup, the system is going to show you all the drives that is currently available in the system. You need to select both the boot partition as well as the Windows partition for that particular system. Give a backup job name, specify the IP address of the backup server, and then select the schedule on how frequently you want the backups to be run. Like you can do every few minutes or every hour, or run daily or weekly, depending on how frequently you want the backups to run. You can also specify the retention policies, where you can say how many copies of data you want to retain for the current day or for the current week, etc. We also have advanced retention, where you can specify how many daily copies you want, how many weekly copies, or how many monthly copies, or how many yearly copies. So in the event of disaster, you'd be able to fall back to those appropriate restore points. And finally, you can specify the application aware options. So what we do is, before we take a snapshot, we will see if there is any application running inside the system. Let's say an Exchange for that matter. We will wait for that Exchange to complete its transaction before we take the snapshot. Otherwise, we will end up corrupting the Exchange data. So we do an application aware snapshot, and after the backup is complete, we also truncate or purge the transaction logs. So we take a hot copy of Exchange backup along with the full system image backup. And in the event of restoration, you can either restore the full system image, or you'd be able to go back and granularly restore those Exchange mailboxes or emails. Once this is done, you go ahead and configure or save the backup. And after that, typically you don't have to come to the client agent to touch the backups again, because everything is automatic. The first backup is a full backup, followed by just incrementals thereafter. So after this backup is complete, you can go to the backup server, which is again the other piece of application that you downloaded from the website, and it typically gets installed on a server hardware, which is any x86 hardware that runs that runs on Windows Server 2008 R2 or Windows Server 2012 R2. You can even install this on an Ubuntu 12.04 or 14.04. So this backup server helps us to deduplicate. It also helps us to store the data. It does data compression. It also performs encryption as well. Here you can see all the client agents that is sending the backup data to. So listed on the left side are all the client agents, and you can simply click on one of the client agent to see what backups that this backup server is receiving from that client agent. So if you have performed a physical system image backup or a VMware backup, or even a Hyper-V backup for that matter, you have multiple restore options. So restoration is a very simple and straightforward process. From here, you select the backup job and then you say restore, and you have multiple options, like you can instantly boot the image file, you can download the image file, you can do granular recovery like Exchange or SQL, you can perform mail level recovery. You can even mount the drive of your physical server, just the drives you backed up, you'd be able to mount it on the backup server to do file level recovery, etc. You can also do a disk or partition restore. Now let's assume a classic situation where you have lost your server, your physical server is down, and you need to be able to instantly boot it on the backup server, you can go ahead and say instant boot. And again, this need not have to be a physical server. This could be one of the VMs running on your VMware or Hyper-V. And then you can say instant boot using Hyper-V, because Hyper-V comes bundled with 2008 R2 or 2012 R2. Specify the amount of memory to be allocated for this particular boot operation. Specify the timestamp from which this boot has to be performed, and go ahead and give submit. And once you do that, the system automatically goes and boots the system in Hyper-V. As you can see, this is bringing up a new image in Hyper-V Manager. We can simply double click that, an ability to connect to that system and instantly access it for instant disaster recovery purposes. So using this option, you would be able to instantly boot a server off of your backup server itself and start actually working on it. You can configure the network, give it to one of your customers or one of the person who've lost the system, so they can instantly remotely access it. And all these changes will be saved. So we also have a recovery CD that you can download it off of our website. And you can use this recovery CD to boot a completely new hardware. And then you can point to this image file, and then we perform driver injection, driver universalization, etc. So here's the recovery CD that you can download it from the website. And then you'd be able to perform dissimilar hardware restore onto any new hardware. The way this is all possible is because of our unique file system for which we have filed a patent for. So that file system universalizes all of your data into blocks, and these blocks are assembled in real time and emulated in different formats. So let me show you this download image file option so that you can better understand what options we provide for our customers for data restoration. So from the backup server again, if you go and then say download image file, here you can say perform the download operation. It's currently running the system. You can download it in any format of your choice. So you can back up a VM, you can back up a physical server, and you can download it as a VHD, VMDK, VHDX, RAW format, or VMDK flat. Right? And you can download it to a USB drive. You can even take this off to an offsite location, and these are all instantly bootable images. So you can take this VHDX file and go and boot it in a Hyper-V or VirtualBox, or you can take a VMDK file and boot it in a VMware environment. Right? So these are all some of the options available. In terms of the backup performance itself, on a local network, because I have a question here that says how long it's going to take for 20 terabyte of SQL databases, how long will it take to do a full backup? It completely depends on your local network bandwidth available. Typically on a 1 gigabit switch, the backups happen at 900 Mbps. But we also do a lot of data compression and deduplication. For example, the 20 terabyte data will be compressed to about 10 terabyte after deduplication and compression. So technically, you will only be transferring 10 terabyte. 10 terabyte will be transferred over 1 Gbps network on a local network. I believe would take close about 1000 minutes. I'm just giving some rough numbers. That means it's about 16 hours for the first full backup to complete. And after that, once the full backup is done, it's only incremental backups where the sizes will be really small. We back up only those changes and it will be really fast happening on a local network. So it's always about the first full backup that is really important. Once you get this through, then everything else is a piece of cake. It simply just starts transferring only those changes. And since this backup operation is very fast on a local network, it might take up some of the bandwidth. In order to control it on the client side, we have a bandwidth throttling settings. So if you could go to the backup client, in settings option, you have what is called as a bandwidth throttling settings. where you can specify how much amount of bandwidth is the backup operation supposed to take. So you can say, I want to only have X amount of bandwidth, or I want to throttle the bandwidth from this time to this time and disable bandwidth throttling during the weekend. And because of these options available, you'd be able to very clearly and specifically say how long it's going to take for the backup data, right? Again, even while doing the data transfer, this deduplication and compression is going to really help you save a lot of data transfer itself. It's just cut down the data traffic by half. So that is the reason we recommend you have a physical server, because if you back up directly to a drive, then it doesn't allow us to perform those deduplication operations. So you will be literally transferring 20 terabyte, and all the time you'll be transferring full amount of data if you do a backup directly to an external drive. But the whole purpose of having a physical server is it serves multiple purposes. One is it cuts your data traffic, it deduplicates and stores the data, and it gives you instant restore operations. So these files available in the backup server, you can instantly boot it, you can instantly mount it, so you can quickly access those files and folders. And configuring a physical server will not take much of a time. It will probably take about 20 minutes for installation. It could be any hardware, even the x86 hardware you currently have in your office. You'd be able to install this backup application on it. Configure a storage. It could be any storage, like an external drive or a NAS or a SAN or a direct attached storage. And then you'd be able to configure the backups after that. And it is, instead of pointing a simple drive, just have a server interface and then connected that drive to that server. That way you'd be able to centrally monitor and manage all of your backups. There's also one more question that comes up that says, also we have multiple servers, can we do backups to the same location, or do we need to have multiple machines? No, it is just you have one backup server that can receive backups from multiple clients or multiple servers. So if you go to server management, you can see you have the option that says list of clients. This basically means you can have 20 or 30 or 40 servers backing up to one backup server that connects to storage devices like NAS or a SAN. And these storage devices can be added on the fly. So let's say you have added a 2 terabyte NAS. That NAS box fills up. You'd be able to add one more drive. The data just spills over from drive 1 to drive 2. And when drive 2 fills up, from drive 2 to drive 3. And it could also be a network drive. It need not have to be a direct drive. It could be a drive on the network, which can still be configured for backup storage as well. On top of it, we also have an option to send the data to cloud, where you can selectively replicate the data to our cloud infrastructure that is hosted on Amazon. This is an optional settings. You can enable it if you want to, or you don't want to, you can simply leave it off. You can say, okay, I want these systems to be protected. I want to have multiple copies of this data. I want an offsite copy on the cloud. So what happens is, if there is a site level disaster, you would be able to take this backup data on the cloud and instantly boot a VM on the cloud and start accessing that system in the event of disaster. So let's say you have a complete site level data loss. You need to have a system immediately. So you can either use this option to restore the data from the cloud, or boot it off of the cloud so you can instantly access the data, or download this image file or request a USB drive with the data downloaded to it so you can still get a copy of the data. So it's all about creating a foolproof design of protecting backup data by having multiple redundant points. And again, here you don't have to replicate all of your clients' data or all of your systems. You can say, okay, only this and this system are important for me. I only want to replicate these systems. Rest, I don't want to do it. You'd be able to specify those settings as well. On top of that, we have detailed reports that can keep you up to date on what's happening with your backup data. We have backup status reports that can let you know if a backup has failed or if it is successful. You'd be able to configure email reports where we can email you when a backup has failed or backup is success. And you will also know why a backup has failed, what is the next step that you need to take, how to prevent it from happening again, etc. We also have filters where you can specifically create filters and say, okay, I want to be alerted for all failed backups, and I want this, and this person to be alerted. You'd be able to go ahead and create filters for that and say whatever conditions you want to specify, you can go ahead and specify it. Provide multiple email addresses and say, I want to alert these people within the company when a backup failure happens. So the next important thing with backups is you cannot stop a backup data from being corrupted, right? Because backup is a very intense operation. A lot of things are happening. There is compression, there is deduplication, there is encryption, and there are a lot of external factors that influence backups. For example, network, your disk drives, viruses, malware, etc. So there is no software in the market that can come back to you and say, hey, we can guarantee data restoration. No one can do that. That is not possible. What is the best thing a backup software can do is let you know when such an event happens by keep verifying the data at different levels. Because when such an event happens, there is no other way to know other than doing a full backup again. So what we do is we perform multiple checks on the backup data. We do restore operations of this backup data on a periodic basis. We do we take the data, we do corruption check, we do boot check, mount check. We also boot the data, then take a screenshot and upload the picture here to let you know that your backup data is in fact bootable and it is working. But even if a backup data can boot, there is no guarantee that you can restore the data. So we also do a corruption check. So what the system does is basically tells you that if a backup data is corrupted or not, and it also tells you whether it can boot or not, or it can mount or not. And these operations, these results can also be sent to you as an email when such a failure happens. And this way you can be assured that instead of you doing a backup testing on a periodic basis, the software itself does the testing, and you don't have to wait till you have to perform a restore to know that your backup data is not available. You'll be alerted much ahead of time, and the system will automatically redo the backup so you can have a good copy of the backup data sitting in your backup database or backup storage devices. This has helped many of our customers, and we also keep re-emphasizing this fact that backup data has to be tested, because otherwise you'll have no clue. Your backup status reports will say your backup data is all success and everything is good. You can boot it, you can mount it, but when you want to restore certain specific files, you will know that the files are not there. So this operations really helps you to know when such a corruption happens. And definitely the product has a lot more to offer. I'm only talking about a high-level overview of the product. And there's also a little bit of a learning curve with the product since it is pretty comprehensive. But we offer a free training for 2 days where you can get yourself completely trained in the product. And we also have a 24/7 support where we could help you to get more comfortable with the product. We also have a 30-day free trial, which is a fully functional trial. You would be able to download, install the product in your local environment, test it out completely, and once you feel comfortable, you'd be able to make a decision on whether you like the product or not. And our pricing is very simple and straightforward. Let me walk you through the pricing information as well. So it's a very simple pricing. We only charge you for the client agent. The backup server component is free of cost. So let's say you want to back up a physical server, you want to do an image backup. It's going to cost you $20 a month. For Hyper-V, for 2 sockets, that is 2 physical sockets, you'd be paying $14 a month. That includes all the VMs running on the Hyper-V. For VMware, it's 2 sockets, it's $20 a month, where you can back up all the VMs and you can perform granular restores. If you want to back up desktops and laptops, it's free of cost. You don't pay for any license fee for that. And if you do an image backup, you basically get application backup and file backup free of cost. But let's say you want to only perform file backup on certain specific systems. You only pay $7 if it is a physical server. And again, if it is a desktop or laptop, it's free of cost. You don't pay for any license fees. And we charge you at the end of the month, depending on what you have used. So let's say you're backing up 2 servers, we will bill you for $40, and you can pay that at the end of the month. So it's a month-to-month model, and there is no contract. or there is no commitment here, so it's completely risk-free. And we make sure that the backup, we take the hassle out of backup licensing and complexities out of it. It's very straightforward. If you choose to replicate some of your servers to the cloud platform, like I mentioned, the charge for that particular storage on the cloud is 10 cents per GB per month. So let's say you're backing up 2 servers, and it's each server with 100 GB of storage. So for 2 servers on the cloud, it's going to cost you $20 a month plus the license fee for backing up locally. So very simple and straightforward, and you'd be able to configure all of your backups based on these options available. Pretty much this is the high-level overview of the product. If you do have any questions at this time, I'd be happy to take those questions and answer any specific requirements you have.